Okay, so I'm going to be making some tamales today. Right now I'm making the masa. And to this masa, which is, I put a 4.4 pounds of masa. This one's gluten-free. So it's a masa mix right here. To that, I put a quarter of a cup of your baking powder, quarter cup of salt, quarter cup of your plain chili powder, quarter cup of your nor tomate, which is the caldo de tomate, the tomato bouillon, a quarter cup of your comino, ground cumin, and a quarter cup of your garlic, ajo. I got confused there for a minute. So to this first, you're just going to mix it. Make sure it gets mixed well. And this masa comes out so tender that you can mix it with a hand mixer, which I'm going to do. I'm going to add to this one, because I'm going to make 2 batches, because it's going to be a bunch of us today. So, and just make sure it mixes well, because you don't want to bite into a tamal that has a big old chunk of one of the spices. It won't taste too good. And you can feel the little grain in between your hands of the salt and the spices, and the masa starts changing a little bit of color to it. And it's pretty good. Okay, I'm going to get the liquids for it. Get all this masa out. Oh, harina, not even masa. Okay, so to this, I'm going to add, I had forgotten to put the baking powder in it. So I went ahead and put it and mixed it. But to this, I'm going to add 4 cups of melted lard. Yes, lard. You could use shortening, but it's not the same. And then you're going to use either 1 gallon of the broth that you boil the meats in, or 1 gallon of water. But I use the broth from the meats. And of course, you're not going to be measuring in a gallon. So it's going to be a total of 16 cups of the broth. And this right here holds 4 cups. That's 2 sets. That's 8 cups right there. $12 cups. And that is your 16 cups. Okay. Move this out of the way here. Sorry, I gotta turn off the stove over here. Got some stuff going on. Okay. So to this, let me move you over a little bit. I'm going to let you just see a little bit, and then after that I'll turn it off because it's going to be a little loud. But go ahead and mix it in a little bit because you don't want to splatter yourself. rubber spatula. Make sure you get all the sides in. Get all this masa from underneath. And I wish you could smell this. It smells really good. And make sure that the oil is hot. Make sure the broth or the water that you're using is hot. And what you do, you try to do this the night before. I just had a lot of things going on. So it's early. They're not going to get here till 10. So it'll give it enough time to cool off and settle here and firm up a little bit. Give it another flip right here. Just flip it over. Make sure you scrape the bottom of the bowl. Because you want to get all those juices mixed up, all those spices mixed in. And when you first make the tamales and they come out, they're already cooked, steamed. Don't eat them right away. They get stuck on the husk. So you want to make sure that you let them cool off at least 15-20 minutes. Longer is better. And because they'll get stuck on the husk, and then you just have to scoop it out. Let's see here. Let me give it a little bit more mix here. One more and we should be done with it. And right now is when you want to taste it. To see if it needs any more salt, any more of your spices or anything like that. This is salty enough for me. It has plenty of spices. The broth gives it a good flavor because the broth that I make is from the meats, of course, that I'm going to use for the filling. But I spice up the meats with spices, so this will have that flavor too. So not only the spices that I put in with the flour, masa harina, but also with the broth. Just going to put this in the refrigerator, smooth it out. There's nothing to it. And let it set because we need it to set. Right now it's too soft to spread. I mean, it'll spread, but I would prefer it a little bit more firm. So I'm going to put it in the refrigerator. And then I'll take it out. I'm actually going to make 2 of these right here. I'm trying to stop this and I can't. Hold on. Okay, so I am making the chicken filling for the tamales. To this, I added 2 little cans of the diced mild green chilies. I added a tablespoon, sorry I'm moving so much, of the nor tomate. I also used a tablespoon of the ground cumin and a tablespoon of the garlic powder. Now I'm not going to add any more. I'm going to taste it once I get it cooking. And then once I taste it, I'll see if I need to add more flavor to it or not. And I have a little bit of broth. I don't know if you can tell, just slightly. But I want to cook off that broth. I don't want it to be wet because then it'll ruin the tamales. But I'll be showing you as I go further when I start making the other meats. Okay, so I added more of the spices, 1 tablespoon of each, which is going to be the ground comino, the garlic powder, and the caldo de tomate, the tomate. I I know I said nor pollo earlier, but it's a nor tomate. Okay, so I'm letting the juices cook off. You can see the juices right there. By adding the extra tablespoon of each spice, made it just right. I have 2 packs of the family packs of the thighs, and I boiled them, shredded them, and then of course I added all these spices. But that's all to it, to making the filling for the chicken tamales. Okay, so I'll bring you back when I'm making the other meats. Okay, so I have the beef here. I've added 2 tablespoons of chili powder, 2 tablespoons garlic powder, 2 tablespoons cumin, and 2 tablespoons of the tomate. And I am letting that heat up, cook for a little while. I added a little bit of the broth back. When I cooked the brisket, that's what I'm using for beef. I used bay leaf to flavor it up. So make sure you take all those leaves out. That way they're a little hard to chew on. You can choke on them. But anyways, this is the beef. The last one I need is my beans. They're already cooked. I just need to smash them. And that's about it on that. I might flavor them. I don't think I need to because I put plenty of flavor when I was cooking them. Okay, so now I am making the pork filling for the tamales. I put 2 tablespoons of the chili powder, 2 tablespoons of the tomate, 2 tablespoons, which is the tomato base bouillon, 2 tablespoons of the ground cumin, which is comino, 2 tablespoons of your ajo, which is your garlic. And I used 2 huge pork butt, and I shredded it. I shredded it, or however you say it, shredded. Either way. So I'm going to let this cook, get those juices cooked off over there, and mix it real well. And I'm going to taste it. If I need to add any more spices, then I'll add it then. Okay, so I added more spices to the pork. I added 1 more tablespoon of each of the spices of the 4. So it makes it a total of 3 tablespoons of everything.